Welcome to the Creation Evaluation Station. Today, on Impromptu Review, we watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. Overall, I had a great time with this movie. I was looking forward to it. I'm not a big Ghostbusters fan, but I did enjoy the original movies, and I was looking forward to seeing this one from what I saw in the trailers. I mean, I would say that they didn't show a lot in the trailers, but it looked interesting. And it did not disappoint. It was a really good movie. It's a sequel to the original movie. Now, they seem to have left out the second one, but that may simply because of the story they wanted to tell, because they really wrapped up some loose ends from the first one. Although, to be honest, I don't remember if felt like there were loose ends from the first movie. But if they were minor ones that you didn't really think about because you were focused on what happened. So, yeah, it was just it was a straight up sequel. They didn't reboot anything. They brought back the old cast. They weren't the main cast of the story, but they brought them back, so they're included. And well, one of them is actually kind of the center point of the story. Nothing of it had to do with the 2016 movie. Totally unrelated, though. That was supposed to be a reboot, anyways. Which is one reason I admit I have not seen it. I'm really not interested in seeing reboots. It's like if the original movie was fine, which the original Ghostbusters is a great movie. Go watch it if you have not seen it. I like the second one too. Some people don't. Yes, it's cheesy, but I like cheesy. But it's more cheesier. It's more cheesier than the first one, I should say. But yeah, I just have never had anything interested in a reboot. Now, there have been movies that have gone bad, like they've done stuff wrong with them and they haven't done well. And they could reboot those and improve on them, and those I would watch, something like that. Can't think of an example at the moment, but there has been movies that have just flopped. I mean, technically we've had several reboots of Spider-Man, and those have all been good. So it's not like it can't be done reboots either, but I'm always a little finicky on that. If you're retelling a story, which from what I understand from 2016, that's exactly what they did. They sort of just rehashed the story. Not interested. Sorry, I read the book already. It's the same thing. Meanwhile, like the Spider-Man reboots were reboots, and they were done differently. Not always just because they wanted to be different, but Spider-Man kind of has his own reiterations from the comic books, so it's not kind of mimicking the original source material, having those reboots. Yeah, it's not a reboot, it's a sequel. Why I was more interested than the 2016 movie. It was interesting how they introduced the supernatural stuff right at the very beginning, although you could not see what was happening. I think there's a slight disadvantage if you weren't familiar with the first one, that you didn't know exactly what was going on. I mean, it was obvious something supernatural was going on, but you didn't know what. Meanwhile, if you'd seen the first movie, you could kind of surmise what was happening. at the very beginning and throughout. So it's both the pro and a con. I mean, it's good that they I like how they did it. They didn't show you what was going on. You couldn't see. I mean, the environment was being affected, but you couldn't see the ghosts or anything. So they kind of slowly brought you into it. Though not completely, because like not too far into the movie, they open a ghost trap and boom, you see a ghost. Boom, right there at the beginning. It kind of it was a jump scare, and the jump scares, like usually in movies, that's why I don't really like scary movies, because jump scares don't affect me. But I jumped even though I saw the jump scare coming. I don't know why. I think it has something to do basically with the sound effects, really. But I thought it was great, even still, because those things usually don't affect me. I saw them coming and I still jumped. But yeah, so even fairly early on, you actually see your first ghost. So it's not like they're keeping things hidden completely. Or, you know, there's not a question whether is it real or is it not, you know, are you just seeing ghosts, it's fake. No, it's quite yes, there are ghosts here. The special effects were great. There were both practical ones and digital ones, although anymore, never even sure what ones, if the practical ones are practical or digital, as the digital ones have gotten pretty good, but they were all pretty good, and we got to see some things like that there were some similar things that were in the first movie, but you got to see them clearer and a little more up close in this movie, which was both scarier and kind of cool at the same time. And by the end of the movie, I was a bit misty-eyed, and if you're a big fan, you probably won't leave the theater completely dry-eyed. It had a really good ending. It's not a sad ending. I mean, sort of. It's a sweet ending. And on that note, it's a really good family movie. Now, I wouldn't take really young kids because of the like jump scares, unless they can handle it. But you know, younger kids could go to the movie, you know, like say 10 and up or whatever. I didn't totally pay attention to the rating. Oh my gosh. Terrible. Problem is I don't have kids yet, so I'm not always paying attention to those. But yeah, it's a good family movie if you bring your older kids. You know, if you know your kids aren't gonna be too scared by jump scares or anything like that. There's no gore really. No gore. There's a bit of slime. It is Ghostbusters after all. So it's a good family movie, and it's great that it come out around Thanksgiving. If you're out doing your Black Friday shopping, or you got time over the weekend, and I'm sure it's still going to be playing. It's really great watch. It's a fun watch, and yes, I say fun even though I left the place misty-eyed. But it's a great movie. And it's an excellent example of how to do a sequel right. Anymore, we get so many reboots, and they take franchises that already exist and try to make more with it, but they either just rehash what's already been done, or just make it try to remix it too much to the point that it's not recognizable. It doesn't have the spirit of the original. Yeah, so this was great in that aspect. It also was a good example of diversity in a movie, because this is a big topic. It had a diverse cast, and from what I saw from the trailers and everything else, they weren't shoving it down your throat, which isn't necessary. If you want a diverse cast anyways. I mean, this goes along with some of the Marvel stuff, like the Eternals and stuff. You have a comic book or a movie, any kind of thing. You want a diverse thing. You don't want to have a picture of your cast and they all look like the same. They all look the same. That there's sameness is boring. It's always been that way, and that's why when I say like Marvel Comics have always had diversity, that's because they had different characters from different backgrounds, from different ethnic diversities, ethnic ethnicities, and it was natural. Even the first Ghostbusters, it took place in New York. New York is a very diverse place. It is the melting pot. People came in through Ellis Island, and there are all these different things in New York. That's one thing that makes New York City great. There's everything there. When Hollywood's always pushing that and just not doing it naturally, it just comes off wrong. And speaking of Hollywood, yeah, they've been taking these franchises, making reboots, trying to make sequels that just have flopped, and they lack the creativity. They're afraid to take chances. This movie took a chance. That's what was refreshing about it. Now, you could say the movie felt very 80s, but that is not a bad thing. For one, the original movie came out in the 80s, so you want maybe that kind of air about it. And what we mean by 80s, it's not dated. It's like the cinematography and things like that were techniques and stuff that they did then, that it was an art. It is an art. It's hard to explain, but it's a great movie, and if you get a chance, go see it. See it more than once. I know a lot of people are going to go back and see it. Like I said, I'm not a super fan. I saw the movie once. I liked it. I will watch it again when it comes out, DVD or whatnot. But yeah, so this was a very good movie. It was creatively done, which this channel was all about that. And that's one thing. It's hard to talk about some of these new sequels and stuff like that. Marvel movies are good because they're not really sequels. They are sometimes they're sequels, but they're not bringing old stuff back like Disney does with all their animated movies and unanimating them. Making them live action. But yeah, so watch it. You'll have a great time. Remember, creativity is key. Have a good day.